Tatsu spill yogurt all over himself.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, Linley's so understanding. Linley accept Tatsu for who Tatsu is.
Well, of course. Now, while I heat the oven, you spread the yogurt down your back too, okay?
Okay, but shouldn't Tatsu be cleaning off yogurt instead?
What? Don't be silly. We need it spread evenly for the tandoori sauce.
Tatsu is no chicken, Linley! Tatsu is Tatsu!
Oh, right. It's tandoori chicken.
Tatsu is not laughing! Tatsu is not laughing! Woohoo! Dance of Qlurian!
If you weren't rich or connected, or part of the first world elite,
Are you alright?
you got left to die on Earth. What Lynn said. Corrupt and disgusting.
Promise, okay?
That's what humans are.
Ow! Al always said that people need a place to belong.
I'll protect the ship from outside.
Just look at their numbers! You can't shift the balance, not with a single Ares.
Yeah, well, you never know until you try.
Al,
Not like a location, or some specific address or whatever.
If only you'd stayed behind with me, I could have had it a whole lot easier than I did.
Somewhere you'd keep coming back to.
Full of Earth. I'm not snuffed out here!
Somewhere people liked and trusted you.
So I sold you out. Then I sold the mims of your clients to those freaks. And I belong in hell for what I've done. Now hurry up and send me there.
No. Come back to New LA with us. If we explain this, we'll find a way. I'll vouch for you. Do whatever it takes to make it right.
Unconditional love? Martyrdom? What are you trying to gain with that dreck?
I'm not.
Elma, listen. I lost my family to an accident a long time ago. But if someone promised me a chance of saving them, and that was all a self-serving lie, who knows what I would do?
My hopelessness. It wound up infecting her as well.
This is what my father taught me.
Yeah, and where did it get him? Fleeced and murdered!
It's disturbing, and corrupt, and disgusting, and yet...
I'm no different from the ones who killed your father, Hope. Actually, I'm worse.
Ornella, no!
Link wakes to Zelda's voice in a shrine where his body has been suspended in stasis for 100 years. The long sleep empties him, no memories, no identity, just a voice, and instructions on how to move inside a world that has moved on without him. You step out of that cave, and the world gives you that impossible shot. That moment when the wind hits, when the music fades, that's when it whispers its thesis. Stretching out in every horizon, no markers, no forced path, it lets silence be a teacher, curiosity become the main quest. It treats the world not as content, but as a conversation between you and it. Doesn't even pretend to care if you understand it. The only limits are your gears, stamina, and the urge to know. Xenoblade Chronicles X is greater than the sum of its parts, because I did a deep dive on chapter 13, I know why X climbed onto my top 10, completed that which wasn't broken but definitely shattered. And as a result, we never had the chance to talk about Mira, so the world is vast, it's beautiful. But if Takahashi taught me anything, it's that nothing lasts. What we see on the surface is always a mask. To not get swept up in the allure of Mira, you need to be distrustful of that appearance, because it overshadows the truth. And yet people don't. They praise the open world, the busted guides fill your feed, everyone fixates on the size, style, and spectacle, not substance. Which is unfortunate. Because Xenoblade X is so much more than that. It wasn't the world that kept me going for 130 hours my first go around. The ability for anything, especially a piece of rock, to hold your attention for that long is limited. No, rolling the credits, I defeated Void because of a different wind. By chapter 7, I'd already planted my probes, been swimming in cash, soaked in the ocean waves, Primordia, Noctilum, Oblivia, Sylvalum. I'd explored most of what Mira had to offer. And yet, 40 hours in, I still had roughly 90 hours ahead. The world stretched out before me, Coldros looming in the distance, but I found myself pausing. What was it that kept me coming back? What is the actual appeal of Xenoblade Chronicles X that persists beyond the midpoint? Do I play X for Mira, a piece of rock filled with aliens looking for the lifehold core, overdriving my way through tyrants? Or is it something else? It was in that moment that it hit me. No, it wasn't the world. I love this world because of the people in it, the humans and the xenos who made Mira worth exploring. And that realization coaxed out a memory out of the depths of my unconscious, another game that first taught me the joy of meeting aliens who didn't think like I did. Mass Effect. If someone asked what I loved about the series, I would point to the Citadel, the beating heart of the galaxy, a massive space station that serves as the galactic capital, 5 massive worlds functioning like stacked cities, each a microcosm of millions of lives. Asari diplomats, Turian soldiers, Salarian scientists, Krogan war stories, Qlurian wanderers, Geth enigmas, you name it. The galaxy in Mass Effect had perspectives waiting for you. For us humans who barely live 80 years, stories like this become our loophole, a glimpse into a point of view other than ourselves, borrowing someone else's eyes. And Mass Effect understood that. But after the Citadel, filled with quests to get to know the aliens, the intimacy gives way to hallways, firefights, and machinery of a plot accelerating towards its climax. It's still phenomenal, one of the greatest sci-fi epics ever made, but its best feeling is front-loaded. The Citadel only makes up like the opening hours. It's as if Takahashi played those 5 hours and asked, what if that feeling didn't end? What if I stretched it across a 100-hour open world? What if the Citadel was the game? Maybe it was the messy development, maybe it was the cuts, maybe it was out of necessity, but with X, the emphasis landed not on a sci-fi epic, not on saving galaxies, not on chosen heroes, but on the small human moments, on the conversations, the cultures, the quiet bonds forming at the edge of extinction. Unlike Mass Effect, you aren't the Commander Shepard tasked with uniting a galaxy to fight the Reapers, the machine gods who harvest civilization every 50,000 years, a cycle they're about to face. This is a space opera about a small team fighting an extinction, emphasizing unity, sacrifice, and morality in a richly detailed universe. And I love it, I truly do, but sometimes Mass Effect can't hear its own voice because of the loudness of its world. I needed something more personal, more restrained, more nuanced. Don't list species, introduce perspectives. Prone marched like a memory of a war Mira never fought, but humanity did. They're not just enemies, they're echoes, a world destroyed, yet they lived just like us. Vain and impulsive, the prone embody the militaristic shadow of humanity. What happens when you grab the gun first and ask questions later? Whether out of prejudice or being incapable of empathy, you resist merging your mind with another. While Manon mirror humanity's innocence in the face of cosmic complexity, science and the pursuit of understanding doesn't mean your heart needs to shrink with knowledge, showing how you can still hold on to a child's spirit while eating your pizza, maybe by eating your pizza. As naive as Manon are, they lighten up Mira's stiffness with their laughter. No different than Nopons, the fluffy tricksters of Mira, the ones who laugh at danger because they know fear all too well. Every joke is a disguise. Every cowardly moment is survival. Money runs the world, so they embrace greed and wear their heart on their sleeve. As much as you and I complain, we can't seem to bend the knee to capitalism, no matter the planet. Isn't that right, Tatsu? Yet Wrothians are like the antithesis to that. They carry their culture like a wound, open, proud, but aching. Their strength isn't their weapons or smarts, it's their refusal to become what Mira wants them to be. Honor, after all, is more than a set of values, but an ever-changing contextual relationship to a greater truth, and I would like to think both Gajarg and Gabud know what I'm talking about. The Tainted embody corruption, Void's anger for being left stranded for eternity, for being shown estrangement, not understanding, so Vida lashed out. To resist, the purity of Telethia shined brighter than ever, stood its ground, holding our hand, protecting all of Mira, memes and all. But the ones who kept the thread going even after death was none other than the Orpheans. Somewhat melancholic, transient, always half fading before you can hold them. A race who adapt so fully that they risk losing the shape of themselves. So they align with others to avoid extinction. They need us to fight and externalize the ova so that Orpheans can continue clinging to change. But underneath the precision in their words, the scientific jargon, their wisdom reflects how identity isn't the light, but the shadow it casts. While moving, how you can experience a greater truth by passing the torch, by letting go. And the Samaarians, our ancestors, felt that weight pressing down on them. Their intellect grew not from curiosity, but from necessity, as can be observed by how ruthless they can be to their own. They calculate, archive, and optimize under the guise of order. Maybe something in their history taught them that the universe rarely gives do-overs, so they don't risk it. And we see that reflection with Zaruboggans and their Adam and Eve holograms, moments before eating the forbidden fruit, mirroring the origin of humanity back at us, the Golbaggas. We inherit the good and bad of ancient Samaar, everything that we've been through. It got us on Mira. But with nothing to prove, what do? Zaruboggans had to wear their ugliness with pride, doing Samaarians' dirty work after the day of regrowth, serving a mechanical god. It can be hard to see how beneath the Gore-Tex exterior is something more human than we'd like to admit. The relative nature of perception, emptiness in Buddhism comes to mind. What appears to be disgusting at a glance can be beautiful at the same time, maybe even your fuel, as Zaruboggans argue. The garbage disposal is a front for the ability to love something everyone else despises. A quality usually ascribed only to the divine, but maybe it is something we all have the potential to tap into. To love all of creation, as Al says. Yet, despite the sentiment, as we can see with the Definians, that love can be corrupted. Unlike the Orpheans, they don't change form because life demands it as an inevitability, but because it suits their self-agenda. They weaponize identity and their forms shift, using it as a cloak to hide their intentions, to deceive and manipulate. Echoing the beasts and machines, prophets and predators, whatever is needed for the job. But there's a pain in that metamorphosis, an identity stretched across too many shapes. No self might be true, but change is not always freedom. They sharpen their blades to avoid responsibility, to keep wearing masks to not look at their faces. Qlurians, on the other hand, do look at their faces, but ironically, they have the tendency to see their own faces in others, to blindly trust everything this or that guy says, thinking they're just as honest as them. Universal kindness, they say, unconditional love, but can love ever lead you astray? Without relational attunement, your love will be seen differently by others. Appearing as the prophet or trying to cover the moral high ground is risky. The appearance of sainthood or perfection distances you from existence precisely because it is a far cry from it. Some people will take advantage of and weaponize your compassion. In fact, Neil Niall's affinity showing the Oblivious Ring makes my point. A tool initially meant to terraform the planet, to facilitate life, was ultimately used to destroy it, because Qlurians couldn't deal with the truth. The theory of mind, how everyone is a distinct mind perceiving the same thing differently. Despite the smarts, the kindness, the warmth, they stopped loving. Qlurians closed themselves off to the world because of that disconnect with others. The gap they never knew how to bridge, took the easy way out, locked their hearts and threw away the key. Something Lao learned not to do, something Xenoblade X warns you against, not because destroying is bad and creation is good. No, you need to destroy for the right reasons, not like the Oblivious Ring or like him. Gaurs, a scale-sized race, created by the Ganglions as living weapons. Some is said to not only rival but also exceed a scale in sheer force. They were used to raise villages, to tear life from the ground, and yet within that brutality, you can find a contradiction. Rock, a Gaur, once laid ruin at a Qlurian settlement, but then saved a girl, Celica. He embodied a simple truth Mira keeps trying to teach us. This is what Tainted lost and what Telethia protects. Just because you have a gun doesn't mean you have to pull the trigger. How there can be untapped potential in restraint. You work at a construction site instead. In a game where the world dwarfs you, the Xenoforms give you scale, not in meters but in meaning. They transform Mira from a map into a civilization, from a barren landscape into a real story. Yet, I can almost hear it. You forgot someone, Ontos. What about humans? Well, we are the most complex species for a reason, right? Not because of our intelligence or physical strength, but because humanity can hold contradictory points of view at the same time, embracing nuance as paradox while still holding each other's hands, working together. New Los Angeles is my proof and evidence. The restraint of judgment, mediating a conflict, the ability to pause before synthesizing a new solution, that is what differentiates us from others.
Leave it, Arena. They aren't worth the effort.
Yes, ma'am.
See that? She's like a cute little puppy, all trained and everything.
Yeah, you're right. Elma calls the shots now. Her and that freak show she calls a team. Beauty and the Beasts.
Listen, Elma, when you're ready to have a real man serve under you, call me, okay? Oh, maybe. A private lesson?
Oh, this ought to be good.
I'm sorry, Colonel, but I can't just ignore what they said.
I know. And since we don't have time for it, I'll help you keep it short.
The more the merrier. Colonel or General or whatever. Fancy titles ain't gonna save you here.
If loneliness is all he knows, is that why he doesn't want anyone else to make it to the next universe? That's why he denies us?
Hang on a sec. He claims he's pursued us because he wants to know what death is. When I thought of him as evil, did I get him wrong? Was I too hasty?
He's lonely, insatiable. In a way, he's very pure. But if it ultimately brings him to wish harm upon us, we should call a spade a spade. By any name, his intentions are inscrutable to us, and that's the truth. You really seem to get him.
I guess our minds might have gotten mixed together.
So there's a bit of each of you in the other?
Maybe. Though, there's one key difference between me and him. It's 'cause I love you all.
Seriously? Those guys?
Stay here if you like, but I'm going in.
But Irina...
Hey, about the other day, I'm sorry. We didn't mean anything by it.
I said it's fine already.
Right.
It's almost worse when they apologize.
I'm sorry too. You know.
Our future depends on all of us. Even the dirtbags.
But of course, not everyone got the memo. For some, like Alex, the primal urge for survival and safety overrides empathy, not wanting to take the risk of cooperating or merging his mind with another. Boze follows that script, tiptoeing around the same excuse, maybe because these two people were burned before. Boze is in the classroom with a military background, paying lip service to Buddhism, while Alex is in the field, pulling the gun to make a point that's already been made before countless times. Distrustful of Manon, he despises them for bringing extinction-level tech into this world. After all, the beam of light is a part of a perpetual motion machine that generates the energy for the Manon ship, powered by sparklies, which are tiny living energy-emitting creatures. According to the Manon Vipon, these creatures generate the necessary energy for the ship when they are happy. They can be upset if reminded of old or sad times, affecting ship's power output. See, we're talking something on the levels of Conduit here. The power that Manon possess is no joke, and might even reinforce Alex's fear that, if not the Xenos, then we will bring our end. Reframing the shot right now as admitting to the lesser evil to strip the world of the greater one. And on that note, Boze actively tries to encourage his students to be more open and brave, protecting them while not affording that same compassion for the Xenos, unable to see the sameness in difference. I know it looks bleak, but we all have the capacity to change, just like Lao did. I suppose sometimes it's a matter of meeting the right person, the right time. As closed off as they are, neither Boze nor Alex do what they do because they're evil, which is why the paradox of humans can be both terrifying and beautiful at the same time.
Close your eyes. Come to me.
Suddenly, when you look at it, the ending of chapter 13 takes on a different meaning, doesn't it? Ares was an ancient Samaar tech with conduit fire in its veins, a machine that fled the abyss and dragged death behind it with ghosts. We were almost going to die out there, a marvel that saved us and doomed us in the same breath. Maybe Al should have stayed in the abyss and sacrificed himself for the greater good. Power comes with great responsibility, and because of that, it's hard to demonize and dismiss the conservative position. No wonder Void feared us, as the coin of humanity can flip either way, and that fear was seeded into the Ganglions as a desire to see our end before we could choose what we would become. Which brings us to the first cutscene of Xenoblade X, the beginning and the end. Destruction leading to creation in this unending cycle. As you held more hands, New LA that initially had humans bopping around in the commercial district progressively becomes a bustling and vibrant home filled with Manon, Prones, Orpheans, and Wrothians, all holding each other's hand now. See, gameplay is storytelling, and as Hope's Affinity and Alex's Nation point out, this isn't pulpy escapism. Takahashi treats the themes with the respect they deserve, with the same confidence BioWare had back in the day before Mass Effect Andromeda lost the plot. What other sci-fi integrates the big with the small while still focusing on that silence? This is why Xenoblade X feels different in a genre that loves melodrama. While I make serious video essays, dramatizing insights, doing storytelling, stitching ideas together so that Takahashi's themes stick with you, the truth is, everything we're doing circles back to the Tatsu jokes. Because we need those jokes. We need the slice of life in a desolate world. That levity is just as real, just as human as all the darkness, the space opera, and the philosophy. Lin couldn't cook a fucking potato for 13 chapters. Zaruboggans are putrescence-glazed eco-nationalists making Mira great again. Manon are scientifically minded pizza enthusiasts hiding behind plush toy diplomacy. The dialogues between Lin, Tatsu, and Elle are funny because they are earned. Humor that grows out of character, timing, and relationship, not out of one-liners, as even Mass Effect takes itself a little too seriously and rarely nails humor that feels natural. Balancing exposition with dialogue, humor with seriousness, philosophy with play, making characters who feel alive enough to joke and to break your heart. But there is no step-by-step formula. Every game's gotta find that balance for the story they want to tell, with a strong visionary behind like Takahashi guiding the process. Xenoblade X isn't just carried by its biomes, its xenoforms, or its characters. Its freedom extends all the way down to its combat, a system that feels like an extension of Mira's design philosophy. Interpret, experiment, and synthesize. Everything invites you to shape your own answer, branching into dozens of hybrids, the soul voices creating a rhythm you learn to conduct, the skills that stack in unexpected ways, even the appendage targeting, a small decision that rewrites entire encounters. Xenoblade X lets you mix and match ranged and melee, buffs and debuffs, topple chains and aura rotations, on foot, on scale, pure offense, pure support, or something in between. The system doesn't tell you who to be, it waits for you to figure it out. Your creativity becomes your DPS, your curiosity becomes your survivability, your builds become your language.
Écoute mon cœur, je t'attendrai même si j'ai mal au cœur pour que tu puisses entendre ma petite voix.
That's why X's combat still feels modern nearly a decade later, not because it's complex, it kind of is, but because it lets you turn complexity into expression. Compared to that, traditional cover shooters like Mass Effect feel like closed systems. They're games that ask you to execute. Xenoblade asks you to invent. Its late game lore, the Golbaggas, the Abyss, the parallel dimensions, the Great One, and its quiet reflections on the Trinity all orbit a single idea. Reality is a dialogue, a thesis, an antithesis, and whatever fragile synthesis forms between them. You know what X is? Hegel, refracted through cosmic sci-fi. And this is where Mira reveals its true nature. Every species of Mira is a reflection of a human impulse. Every parallel dimension is another angle of the mirror. Every great one is a reminder that something is watching, interpreting, reframing. Even the abyss, a place without form, becomes the shadow a mirror must cast. Xenoblade X dwarfs open worlds obsessed with geography because it's obsessed with perspective, where games like Breath of the Wild want you to admire their beautiful landscapes. Xenoblade X wants you to see yourself inside one. X leaves you full, not from a single meal, but from the variations of it. Hundreds of quests, ruins, tyrants, xenos, affinities, philosophies, and if you pace yourself, taking down tyrants, completing green quests, learning about your teammates, building affinities, getting to know the xenos, customizing builds, taking in the beautiful scenery, Mira begins to breathe with you, grow with you, shifts its shape as your perspective shifts. At some point, the rock stops being a rock. Mira doesn't just live, it insists that you live with it. The xenos amplify human flaws and virtues. Boze and Alex become distorted reflections of fear and self-deception. Ares becomes the shape of our ambition, destructive but also liberating. Even Mira's end becomes a mirror held up to our contradictions. See, this is a story about how the things we fear in others are often the things we refuse to see in ourselves. A single idea unfolding before our eyes. Monolith Soft didn't just build a sci-fi world, it created a sci-fi epic greater than the sum of its parts.
I thought Exodus was a lie, one we all accepted because the truth was too painful. That humanity was meant to die off along with our home. But something happened here on Mira. These Mini-Osomes, they aren't just ghosts or shadows. They're people. Seeds of new life that are struggling to take root.
To love all of creation. To embrace the world and all its parts fully.
It carries minds as well. They've watched over me on my journey.
Tell her to live. What Lynn said. It's what makes us human. Always trying to put herself in my shoes. If she realized this, it means she's anything but.